Hello, everyone! I'm Buford MC, and welcome back to another adventure in GregTech New Horizons. Today, I want to continue working on a few quests in the MV Age, and the quests that I want to complete today are these ones right here. So I want to try and get to Silicon Solar Grade today. So essentially how this works is there are two kind of chains we can follow here to turn raw silicon dust into silicon solar grade, which appears to be something we are going to need quite a bit of going forward. And we have a lot of raw silicon dust, so I figure why not try and take this on now so that we can at least start getting production of this stuff set up for the future. So there are two pathways, though, in order to do this. The first one involves silicon tetrachloride, which is essentially combining raw silicon dust with chlorine cell to get silicon tetrachloride, and eventually you process that further on to get the silicon solar grade. The second pathway is to make something called trichlorosilane. That's raw silicon dust with hydrochloric acid, and that will give you trichlorosilane, which will further on process eventually to get silicon solar grade. So we have to choose between one of these two paths, and the one we're actually going to automate, I think, is this one right here. So the trichlorosilane, because I think it's going to be a little bit better. So we're going to try and see what we can do with that today. I don't really think it's going to be too hard. It's all LV machines that we'd have to set up for that, so no MV power I don't think is needed. But we're going to try and do that. But before we get into that, I also want to show you what I have been up to, because I've been doing a couple of odd jobs around the base. So let's take a look. So we'll turn that back on, and we will head on into the base. So the first thing I've actually done is that I have been busy working on upgrading my tools a little bit once again, actually. So if we come to the quest book, you'll see that we have completed a quest here called Better Tools. It's a branch off of the MV Extruder, which we did last time. So with the extruder, we can actually make better tools. Of course, we showed that off when we made the upgraded broadsword. We upgraded that to vanadium steel, which does a lot of damage now. But we also now can make other things as well. So this quest here wanted us to make the vanadium steel hammerhead and the Damascus steel tough tool rod. So the Damascus steel tough tool rod gives us a durability modifier 5 times, and that's a massive upgrade. So I actually went ahead and made quite a bit of these inside the extruder. So most of our tools now have that. So the broadsword has it. So if we press control, you can see what it's made out of. So Damascus steel tool rod, that now gives it 12,000 durability, effective durability, that is. The pickaxe, I've also done that one as well, the Damascus steel tool rod, and we also have about 10,000 durability now on that, so that's pretty good. We've also done it on our other tools as well, so the hammer, that one has now got a durability of 54,000, pretty big upgrade, and the excavator, almost 18,000 effective durability, so that's pretty good, I'd say. But there is one part of this quest that wasn't as interesting. So the vanadium steel hammerhead, it is an improvement over our cobalt hammerhead that we have, but the mining level, that's the thing that kind of put me off from adding it to my hammer. So I have it right here, and if we look at the difference between that and our current hammer, you'll see that the cobalt hammerhead, though, gives us a mining level of 8 manalium. This one gives us a mining level of 5 obsidian. So the cobalt hammerhead can mine higher tier things. This one can't. Even though it is faster, it is more durability, we'd be limited on what we can mine. Now, I don't really think there's much higher than mining level 5 that we're currently mining, but I don't really want to add that to this thing right now. So I've kind of put that off. I'm kind of just holding on to that because I just don't think it's worth it. But let me know if you think I should. Now, one thing I am going to upgrade that I haven't done yet, and are actually under production right now, are the cobalt large plates. If you look at these, I have 600 durability, mining speed 11. If we look at a vanadium steel large plate, durability is really high, and the mining speed is quite a bit high as well. 18 mining speed versus mining speed 11, durability 1,440 versus 600. So I am actually working on that. I'm going to upgrade the hammer and the excavator, but these take forever in the extruder. They're currently being made, but it does take a long time, and that's just for one of them. So I think that's like, I don't know, like 25 minutes maybe, somewhere around there. But yeah, that's what I've been up to with the Tinker tools. So I did another round of upgrades to those. But there's a couple other things I've been doing as well. So if we come under here, I've also created a new area for our gases. So actually, if I come down here, you'll notice that all this stuff we had here with our oxygen, our hydrogen, our nitrogen stuff, that's all been removed, and it's now been moved up into here. So we're now using super tanks instead of the railcraft tanks because they're a lot better. More storage, portability. We talked about that last time. So nothing here is really any different. We still have hydrogen. We still have oxygen. We do have another super tank for oxygen as well now from our nitrogen setup. And then, of course, we have our nitrogen as well. And the nice thing about these super tanks is you can lock the fluid to a specific tank. They also have the overflow voiding mode built in, so they'll automatically void once they get filled up with the, I think it's 4 million millibuckets. That way we won't stop production of one of these gases if one of these tanks fills in. But again, there's a lot higher capacity as well now. So it's pretty good how that works out. And of course, I've also been working on some additional piping, fixing that up. So this is our oxygen pipeline to the EBF. So what we essentially have is we have a new piping area back here. So just a piping area back here for various pipes underneath where the super tanks are. I'm not using these ones right yet, but we're doing all right. So that's how we are doing that. And this over here is our silicon line, which we will be adding on to today. We're going to work on that in a bit. I really don't think it's going to be too hard to do that, but we have everything up to the raw silicon. Now we'll just have to turn it into the silicon solar gray. That's the next step. So we just got hit by pollution because that is the EBF chunk. So we do still get hit by that there. Now, speaking of the EBF, I've also been working on that. We've been getting some more ingots made up. In fact, that's part of another quest I've been trying to complete, which is, if we turn the view mode off, it's this one right here. It's to go into Ender IO, so it wants us to make a couple of different ingots. So pulsating iron, we did that last time to make the EBF, and I did go ahead and make some more of that. I'm currently working on the electrical steel, which we actually have, 41 ingots right there, so that will tick that one off. And we're actually trying to make a bit more right now, but we'll see how that goes. And then we still need to do the conductive iron, which we'll work on that in a bit. That's going to need a new mixing recipe. So the reason I'm doing this is we are going to need to try and get into Ender IO because I want to try and upgrade our power a bit. And I think Ender IO is going to be something we can use. So I've been thinking about it, and I think we're going to do a temporary steam upgrade at first, which is going to involve this machine right here, the vat. This is actually based on a comment I got a long time ago, which this vat right here is going to allow us to make something called hooch, which I believe we can use to make better railcraft boilers, which will give us a lot more steam, because we're going to need a lot more steam before I can switch over, I think, to something even better, which I'm currently thinking about doing benzene, but I haven't finalized any of that yet. That's just the current plans. So we need to start by getting into Ender IO, which is something I want to do, but we will try and get at least this quest done. We might be able to complete another quest. I think there's the dark steel up here. So dark steel, yeah, we've got plenty of that as well. So that is something else I'm currently doing. Now, if we come back down here, there was one more thing I also wanted to show you on this side. And you'll notice first that we have upped our turbines. We now have 8 basic steam turbines. So we're now getting 8 amps of LV power. I did upgrade the cables to the 8 times redstone alloy cables. And I've also upgraded our transformer to the LV high amp transformer now, so it takes 8 amps of LV power and gives us 2 amps of MV, which is enough to power both these machines at once. There's the large plates we're currently making. We're just about to get the first one, it appears. Well, I say just about, still a few minutes away. But we have the LV high amp transformer now, so that's an upgraded version of the transformer we made last time. So if we come down to storing and transforming, it's this quest right here. It's not hard to make. You just use the low voltage transformer with some more tin wires and copper wires. Not hard to make. But the way this normally works is it will essentially take 16 amps of LV and give you 4 amps of MV, or vice versa. But you can also hit it with a screwdriver to turn it into a half mode where it does 2 amps to 8 amps, which is what we're doing right here. So 8 amps to 2 amps. Either way can work, but that's what we've basically got here, and this gives us a little bit more wiggle room now. So I could either run both MV machines right now. I'm not running the electrolyzer, or I could run one MV machine and I can still use my LV machine. So that's pretty good. Now, another thing I've also done, this one is based off the electrolyzer here. So last time we were doing some of the clay electrolyzing, which gives us water, and we basically just wanted to trash that. But what we've got now is I've added some super tanks here for various gases. And the electrolyzer can, of course, electrolyze a lot more things than just clay dust, and those different dusts we can electrolyze give us different fluids. So I've set up some super tanks to kind of sort all this out. So we've got a pipe connected there, and it comes down here, and it also comes under here as well. So the way I actually have this working is we have 4 super tanks right now, which give us oxygen, chlorine, fluorine, which is actually a new gas we've never produced before, and some nitrogen as well. And the way I was able to set this up in terms of filtering it is actually kind of interesting. So what I've done here is on each of these pipes, I've added a cover for a fluid filter cover, and basically what I've done is under the oxygen one, I've set a fluid filter cover for oxygen, which is blacklisted, meaning it can't pass through this thing, so it has to go into the oxygen super tank. The same thing I did with the chlorine one. We have a fluid filter with blacklist for chlorine, so chlorine can't pass through here, it has to go into there. And the fluorine, again, the same thing. And nitrogen, the same thing. And that means that whenever I want to electrolyze clay, it's going to immediately be thrown over into the trash can for fluids. Now, if I were to get any other fluid or gas, I guess, it would also go into here. But I can just, add on to this if I need to. I usually check what I get out of the dust when I electrolyze them anyway. So I just have to be careful about that. But these are the ones I've gotten so far. So that's what we've done there. We've also installed a new elevator. How about this? A rotating elevator, which I made. And the way this works is you just jump on it and you go up. And because it's a rotating elevator, it'll actually rotate you around. So if I go down, I'm facing this way. I don't have to turn around myself. So that's quite nice. I still do turn around out of habit, but I don't need to turn around. We just go, just like that. So that's pretty cool as well. So I do like that. That wasn't actually that hard to make. It was a quest for it as well. It was in, I believe, getting around. This one here, it wants you to make the normal elevator, which is just some steel, aluminum frame box, and enderpearl plate. The rotating elevator is actually a reward, and the way you actually make that is you use the elevator and just give it a little bit more steel. You can also use the assembler. It's actually cheaper that way. That's the way I did it. So that's the elevator. So that is another thing I did as well. And also, if we take a look at the extruder, I was talking about the different extruder shapes. So what I did in order to store them is we now have 2 basic item holders, which is just enough to store all the extruder shapes we currently have. So I can just access them directly from inside the advanced extruder. So that's pretty good as well. So that was something else I did. And I'm trying to think if there is anything else I might have done. Yes, there is actually one more thing I did. I did a small expansion to our basement as well. So if we come down here to our ore processing area, it has now been extended along down here. And the reason I did that was because our giant wall of dust over here is starting to run out of space. So now what I can do is, of course, I have to jump over this little doorway here, but we now have more space for more barrels to put more dusts in. I can do the same thing over here with our sifting barrels as well. So that is another thing I did as well. So we expanded this room. So that's what I've been up to. A couple of various small jobs around the base, I'd say. Nothing really too major, but it's going pretty well, I'd say. So that is where we are right now. So, oh, one more thing I almost forgot. We also did this. You might have noticed the silver bell drawers. We used to have the 1x2 drawers to store our ingots in them, and now we have the 2x2 drawers, which gives us more space. So the only drawback to this, though, was that the stack limit is actually down to 8. You can only hold 8 stacks in these now, but what I've done is I've applied the upgrades to them right here. So if I look at, I think it's the storage upgrade, it's these ones right here. I went with the highest tier I could right now, which was the storage upgrade 5. So it requires some diamond plates, diamond rods, aluminium plates. Those actually aren't too bad. The hardest part is the upgrade template, because these are quite expensive. Even in the assembler, you need drawers and pistons. Pistons are a pain. You can also use the electric piston, which gives you 3. But you need 3 for just one of these. But with these, we now have a stack limit of 128, so we've got plenty of storage in these, and we've also got plenty of room for additional ingots. So I've moved most of the ingots that we use over to here now, and we are pretty much stocked up. So I'm quite happy with that upgrade. I also did make some more circuits as well, so we have 92 MV circuits, 102 LV circuits. I probably need to make a few more of those as well. We can probably also move our electrical steel over. I'm not actually sure if I put any in here yet. Let me see. No, it doesn't look like it, so We'll add you over there, and I might have a couple extras over here as well. Take a look. Yes, we do have a couple there. We'll just move those over as well. So that is what I have been up to. So those are the different things I've done. I'm quite happy about this one because now we have plenty of storage for more ingots as we need to do that. Of course, I still need to apply upgrades to these ones over here. It's just that the storage upgrades are so expensive. I have the diamond plates and the rods. It's 54 diamond plates, 9 diamond rods, so we're doing quite well on that. But the storage upgrades are a bit of a pain. So, I think what we'll go ahead then and do now is let's try and see if we can take care of this chain right here. Try and get our hands on some silicon solar grade. So I've got some stuff prepared. We've got the chemical reactors and a couple other things as we need it. I don't really think it'll be too difficult. Of course, I don't have any of the other parts either. Now, actually, what I think we'll do first is, one of these we're going to automate, the other one we're just going to do on its own here. So I think, actually, let's do the automated one first then, actually, and then we'll do the other one on its own here. So the first thing we need to do is we need to try out the trichlorosilane. Now, we are going to need, actually, hydrochloric acid, I just noticed. I did not actually prepare that, but all we need to do for this to work is use the 2 chemical reactors here. This will work with just 2 basic chemical reactors. So I already prepared the power and everything for that. So that's all set up there. But now we're going to need the raw silicon dust. And we're going to need 18 cells of hydrochloric acid. So let's go run back up here and see what we can do. In fact, actually, we need cells anyways. So the way you make hydrochloric acid, we've done that before. You use a chemical reactor. And you put in hydrogen and chlorine. So we are going to need 18 cells of each for this to work. So let's grab 18 and 18. We do have, I don't know how much chlorine we actually have right now. Up here, I don't know how much I made, but no, we only have 4. I'm going to have to head downstairs to our bigger tank for that. I didn't end up upgrading any of the other tanks to super tanks yet, only the ones with the gases in them up here. So here's the hydrogen, though. We can take that. And then if we come down, all the way down, we can go to our chlorine tank, which is where we have our chlorine, at least a higher tier storage of chlorine. Because we use that over here. Don't have much of it, though. Again, this isn't even automated. We just put salt in to get that. We do need to think about trying to automate chlorine, I think. Because we do use it over here to get the iron 3 chloride. Of course, we do have the hydrochloric acid in here, though. Yeah, we can just make some more. Because the way this setup is actually going to work is we're not actually going to be using the hydrochloric acid. It should all be recycled. So that'll be quite good. In fact, the only thing we're really going to be using, it's the same for both these chains here, is the raw silicon. I think that's the only thing we're actually going to be consuming. So let's go ahead and put these in here. And you need circuit for that. Circuit 1, let's see if that's what I wanted. Yes, it is. Hydrochloric acid. Right, let's go to sleep then while we wait for that to come in. It doesn't take long for that, so that's quite good. So we are getting that hydrochloric acid. So we'll go ahead and do that, and then we need to set up the trichlorosilane. And of course, when we do this, let me show you the actual process now. So the way this is going to work is we are going to need to get empty cells. That's something we need to think about. And we're going to get hydrogen cell, and we're going to get the trichlorosilane out of this. And when we get the trichlorosilane, we basically put that into another chemical reactor, and we want to do this one right here with the trichlorosilane and the hydrogen cells, which ironically we get from the previous step. So we basically put both of these into another chemical reactor, and we will get the silicon solar grade polySI dust. We'll get our empty cells back, and we're going to get hydrochloric acid back, which we just have to put back into the other chemical reactor. So this should be a pretty simple process, I would say. So let's take that out, and we'll get the final cells that we need for the quest. And that was also a quest as well. Let me take a look at that one then. Where was that quest? Ah, this one here. HCl, hydrochloric acid. Okay, interesting that we actually completed that. I didn't know there was a quest for that. But we did. So we have that. So let's head down here then and grab some of the raw silicon dust. We'll have to do this manually at first because we do have to take these out for the quest to count. So we'll automate it after we actually do this the first time round. So we are going to do... What are we going to do, actually? So to make this, we need the hydrochloric acid in here. And we put raw silicon in, we put empty cells in, and that is doing something. Take a look at what that's doing then. That should give us what I want. Should get any moment now. Let's take 15 seconds. There it is. So hydrogen cell and the trichlorosilane. So let's grab some more of the cells then so that we can get that trichlorosilane stuff out. And then we'll work on automating it after that. So let's grab... Take a stack of cells. I'm also going to want some barrels, I think. I'll take a few barrels. I think we'll only need one, though. But we are going to need some storage for this stuff. Let's head back over here. Also, if you're curious as well, I almost forgot. This right here, that looks like one of those railcraft tanks. It's actually a cover you can add onto super tanks. So it's called a fluid storage monitor cover. So it just displays the fluid stored in the tank in a little kind of thing right there. You can look at it. Because the super tanks, the sides of them, they don't look all that pretty. Just makes it look a bit better. Right, so there's the trichlorosilane. How much do we need for the quest? We do need 6 cells. Right, so this is actually the last bit. And we'll get the last bit of hydrogen here as well. Just a couple of seconds. There we go. And there we go. So that should be the quest. Trichlorosilane. Lovely. We got that done. So that one's done. And now we can move on to the second step. So keep the hydrogen and continue in a second chemical reactor to obtain the purified solar-grade silicon. You get all the hydrochloric acid back. Maybe you can automate this process. Well, that's just what we're going to do. So we just put all this stuff back in here. So I think it's just like that. And I think it is circuit 1. Yep, looks like that was it. So another 15 seconds, and we should get silicon solar-grade and hydrochloric acid. So that will be quite good there. Yep, and there it is. Our first silicon solar-grade poly-Si dust. And we do get our hydrochloric acid back. We also get the empty cells as well. That's going to be quite good right there. So we'll let that come in here for a bit. And while we wait for that, actually, let's go ahead, because I did say I wanted to get this one done here. Let's get that conductive iron dust made up. Because we haven't actually made the dust even. So how do we make you? Okay, so we need silver, iron, and redstone alloy. And that one is MV mixer, right? So we are going to need to get some stuff prepared. Redstone alloy is actually going to be down there. Everything's going to be down there, I think. Do we even have redstone alloy? Yes, we have plenty of that. So, you know, I'll tell you what. The dust for this iron, silver, let's just do a lot of it. The pulsating iron is a little bit more expensive because I needed the ender pearls, but, you know, iron dust, I have a lot of that. Silver dust, I have really a lot of that, and I think we're actually getting more of that as we speak. Because I went to a cryolite vein to stock up on cryolite now that we're actually using it a lot more for aluminium. So yeah, we have a lot more silver coming in as well, so we're just going to go all in on this, I think. What circuit do you want? Circuit 2. So put those in. Let's see if that turns on. Yes, it does, and that will give me 24 of the conductive iron dust, right? So I don't know what we need this for, but might as well stock up on it. Well, I'm sure we need it for Ender IO. That's probably it. So it says you probably used Ender IO before. It's quite useful for a lot of things, but the recipes are different, and it's not as useful for some things like ore processing. Let's go through what it has to offer. Note the other half is in HV. So there is some conductive iron. Let's just do 16. How much does the quest want right now? It only wants 8, so I'll probably get some of that started. I assume it's the same as the other two in the EBF oxygen 60 seconds, right? We'll go ahead and put that in. You are still working on electrical steel, but you're just about to finish, so we'll switch over to the conductive iron. Right, let's go back over here and check on that. Looks like you are finished. So we have... Oh, we filled up on the hydrochloric acid, actually. We did that. We got the hydrochloric acid there, and wants 18 cells, and it wants the 6 of these, so we're just about to get the last one. There we go. And that is going to be the quest, trichlorosilane, and that should also be silicon solar grade complete as well. Is that complete? Silicon solar grade, why is that not complete? Okay, there it is. So whichever path you followed, you now have the solar grade silicon dust. You want to smelt it into ingots to make plates for transistors, but you also need some to make silicon bowls. Right, so that has unlocked another quest here, but we won't go any further. I just wanted to get to this one. So now that we've actually made it, let's go ahead and automate this now, because we did want to try and get the quests done. So what we want to do is we want to get our raw silicon dust into the chemical reactor, I'm sure. So how we'll do that is we'll grab a small electrum item pipe. We'll just take you along there. That should work. Of course, we will need to have a conveyor module for that. Set to import. So I'll put you into there. Now, the hydrochloric acid, I don't think we need 18 in that once. Maybe 15 will work. Put that in there. And then it also wanted the cells, I believe, right? It wants 2 cells at once, so do something like that. That'll work. But a few more. Just have a little bit of extra. Doesn't really matter, I don't think. But that is going to go along. So now we'll start getting hydrogen cell and the trichlorosilane, right? So we have to get both of these. Both of these can go directly into this chemical reactor here. So I'd say a pump is probably more expensive. Well, can we actually just do both? Yes, we can. We don't even need to add anything. So we can just do both of them and they go straight in. And it looks like we are already operating. Just make sure everything's going in there. Yeah, looks like it is. So that's going to give us silicon solar grade polyacid dust. We get the hydrochloric acid. And what we need to do is we need to get that back. Now, I don't think I can just point this back. Well, maybe actually I can. If we used a screwdriver, I think we might, because we can turn it into... Let's turn that off. We can do input from output side allowed. Input from output side allowed. If I do that, does that work? It does seem to. Now, the silicon solar grade is not going to ever go into there. I don't think. Well, we don't want it to go into there, so that needs its own kind of system, which is actually going to be quite simple, I think. It's essentially just going to be, we need, what do we need? We need a barrel, that's what we need. We need a barrel, and we're going to need a conveyor module for that. We put barrel on you, we add a conveyor module, set to export, and there's our silicon solar grade polyacid dust. Now, the only thing I can think of that could go wrong is if we ever run out of raw silicon, which I hope we don't, because we actually do need the raw silicon for other dusts inside of a mixer. So we don't want to use all of it, but I don't know how this is going to compare to our production of raw silicon. We might start losing it, but if this ever were to run out, it might have an open slot, I think, for the silicon solar grade to go in. It's not a problem for right now, but it's something to think about. But that's pretty much already automated. So we are getting silicon solar grade polyacid dust. So that was quite simple, like I said. I wasn't really too worried about that. Let's grab a couple of tin plates and cover up those pipes. Because I've actually done a pretty good job, I feel like, of covering up most of the pipes in this area recently. So we'll go ahead and do that. It is nighttime. We do have pollution, so let's go ahead and go to sleep so we can get rid of those effects. Not that it takes too long for them to go away anyways, but going to sleep does get rid of the negative effects. So it says the downsides of life no longer affect you. Right, what did I come up here for? I've already forgot. What were we trying to do? We were trying to get that silicon. Oh, we were trying to get tin plates. That's what we're doing. So we just need a couple of tin plates. Cover up those pipes. And yeah, that really wasn't too bad. I mean, I didn't think it was going to be bad, but go ahead and cover these up. We don't have to do this, but quite would like to. I think it just makes everything look a bit better. How do we want to get that one? Let's just put a bale there so I can stand here for a moment. Didn't have any other blocks on me. There we go. And that is all covered up. That looks good. Right, so we are getting it. So I'll have to keep an eye on this. I think we're going to be producing more of this than we're producing raw silicon, because we have to wait for the silicon dioxide to build up. Of course, we do also get raw silicon from electrolyzing some stuff with the MV electrolyzer. So maybe I'll just use that for the mix, and we'll just keep all this set to making silicon solar grade. We've already got 20, so we're doing quite well. So this was not bad. And everything is working. Everything is going to where it needs to go. So that is quite good. Quite happy with that. Right, so let's put that away. And let's put some other stuff away as well. So we got the automated path done. We do need to do this one, though, but we're going to do that manually. So let me actually go back down there, because we are going to need to grab some raw silicon. So we need 6 dusts, and we're going to need 24 cells of chlorine. We're actually going to have to head all the way down for that, but grab the 6 dusts. It is 6, and then we're going to need to grab some chlorine as well. So we'll head over here again. We should have all the machines we need in our main crafting area for this to work, so hopefully that will be enough, but we do need to put you in there so we can get the chlorine cells. Let's put these away. Chlorine cells. So let's head back over here. And we'll go ahead and put these. I believe it's in a chemical reactor again. We do have. So let's see. What do we need to do for this? We need to put raw silicon and chlorine cells. Okay, we can just do that directly then. And now give us silicon tetrachlorine. Put that in. And off we go. Did that need circuit 1? No, it was no circuit. But if it's no circuit, I think it'll work with any circuit, technically. But I'll take that off for now. That will take 20 seconds for that to finish, right? So once we do that one, we'll unlock the next step, which is to do silicon tetrachloride continued. That we're going to need. So as a second step, we combine the tetrachloride with sodium dust, right? So this is the reason we didn't want to do this one automated, because it is a little bit more complicated. So we are going to need sodium dust for that. It's 24 sodium dust. We've got so much of that from electrolyzing clay. So we're doing quite well on sodium at the moment. We'll grab that. Alright, how are you coming along then? So there's our silicon tetrachloride. So we've got 2. We want 6 of them for now. So we'll wait on that to come in. Right, so how are we doing then down here? Just a quick check. How much of that dust have we made already? Already half a stack. That's not bad. We're doing quite well on that right now. So that is good. So that is quite some good stuff right there. We're still waiting on a little bit more you. Have we finished with any of these yet? It actually appears that we have. We do have a vanadium steel large plate. So actually, while we're still waiting, let's go ahead and do some quick tests. Let's do... because this one only needs 1. Let's do the excavator. We are going to need to repair it. We can actually do it here. So, put the excavator there. 1 cobalt ingot. Add you there, and let's see the difference. So this has 17,000 durability, Mining speed is 8.8 now. 30,000 durability and a mining speed of 10.2. Not bad. We will take it. So that is pretty good, I would say, for an excavator. There is our upgraded excavator there, so I'll need to do 2, because the mining hammer can take 2 large plates, so that's going to get really good, I think. I'm quite excited about that, but I'll worry about that once we get those in. It does take a while. Right, so you're done here. So there is our 6 cells of silicon tetrachloride, so that quest is done. Now we'll go on to silicon tetrachloride continued, so we need the silicon tetrachloride, sodium dust, and we're going to put that into another chemical reactor. So we can do it... What is this one? Use zinc dust. What is that? Zinc chloride. Does take, though, 20 seconds. That's actually really different. I didn't see that one. What is zinc chloride? Okay, I don't know what any of this stuff is. All right, we're just going to forget we saw that one. So this is what we need. Sodium dust and program circuit 1 with silicon tetrachloride. So it actually looks like that's quite fast. So circuit 1, sodium dust, silicon tetrachloride. And that is going to give us stuff which is actually going to be thrown into here. Right, so silicon solar grade polyacid dust, and we do get some salt as well. So, yep, we need 6 of these dusts, 48 salt, which does not take long. That is quite good. Well, just about finished already, so that's quite a faster step right there. So it says here, as a second step, we combine the tetrachloride with sodium dust. There we go. The silicon dust is now purified to solar grade. The chlorine and sodium are not lost during this process. To recover them, just electrolyze the salt you get at the end and send it back to the chemical reactors for a complete loop that turns raw silicon to solar grade silicon. So we can get the stuff we used in this back. There is a quest right there that's probably going to describe that salty from all the silicon. So there's our 6 silicon solar grade, and there's 48 salt. And that is a quest. Silicon tetrachloride continued. We've done that one. So we can also do this one as well. So salty from all the silicon. If you're salty about the ingredients needed to purify silicon, I got good news for you. You can recover all the chlorine and sodium you used by electrolyzing the salt you got. You can also use zinc instead of sodium. The first reaction is longer, but the recycling is much cheaper, right? So that's the other recipe we saw then. But we have 48 salt dust. Let's go ahead and get that done. And we just put that into an electrolyzer. So if we electrolyze salt, you can use LV. Right, this is what we actually use to get chlorine. So that will give us the sodium and the chlorine. We might as well just use... Well, let's just go with... Well, let's do this one. There's no point in not doing that. That'll actually show off my little system I have for chlorine. So if I come down here, you'll see that all the chlorine we're producing here should end up going into here. Yep, there we go. We're seeing that go up now, right in front of us. It does take a while, though, doesn't it, to complete this? Yeah, it's 8 seconds. That's going to take a while, isn't it? So, but it does work. The chlorine does go into here. Yep, there's another one. So my little filtering system for that does work. But what we can actually do is sodium chlorine. Yeah, we have all that. We can probably just go ahead and grab them from the base to get that done now, instead of waiting for that to finish. So chlorine is over here. So we did this before, but just go ahead and take that. We just need 24 cells, and then we need 24 sodium. So just grab that. You're complete. Put you back in. And... okay, that's not good. Right, that's why we need more steam. I just noticed that. That is probably because of the extruder. But we are using 2 MV machines at once and the EBF. You know what? I'm going to take you out right now because you're just about to finish. Right, so that is why we need more steam power. I just noticed that while I was walking by there. So we are overwhelming our steam tank finally, it appears. Yeah, this thing is almost completely empty, right? And we're also running the ore processing, so I'm going to save us a bit here. We're going to turn you off, because that also uses a lot of our steam. Right. Good thing I caught that when I did, because that would have been pretty bad. Right. But yeah, that's why we need to upgrade our steam power, because this was going to happen. And I'm sure this isn't helping us either, all of these machines running. So let's drop that off there. We can make some sacrifices for the moment, though, to at least save us a little bit, but yeah, that would have been pretty bad, actually. So, how much are we making here? A little bit more. We do have the conductive iron, though. We can complete that quest, at least. So that was the one that gets us into Ender IO. So, we don't have a spot for you, I don't think. No, doesn't look like it. We'll put you there, and we'll add the electrical steel there as well. So that completed the quest right here, which was to get into Ender IO. So we turn that off so we can actually see what we have available. Now we need to do the dark steel. We do have that already. So that is dark steel. And it is nighttime, so let's go to sleep. And that was another quest. Come to the dark side. Right, so we got that done. And the next one here is to get a new ore vein. Tantalum, right? Alright, so we'll have to take a look at that here at some point, but I'll probably do that on my own. Looks like you're done as well. Alright, I'm gonna put you in here for now, once we build up our steam. But yeah, we just finally saw the cost here of using all these machines now at MV. It does use a lot of steam, so how are we doing here? Not good. Looks like we're going up now. Yeah, looks like we're going back up again. So yeah, we've actually really used a lot of steam here. Yeah, all these are empty. Right. So this is why we have to be very careful with how much power we're using, because we just don't have enough for MV just yet. But that needs to be our next goal. Alright, well, I'm glad we caught that when we did, though. We caught that just in the nick of time before we ran out of steam, but I'll have to be careful here. Yeah, these use 30 EU a tick as well, so that's not helping us any either. But look at all that silicon solar grade we have, at least. That's quite good. And we still have a lot of raw silicon. I'll have to keep an eye on that number there. But yeah, we got that done. Right, so now that we've done all of that, let me go ahead and put a couple things away. And then we'll go ahead and claim our rewards and open up our loot bags like we normally do. The tin plates there, put the cells here. Hydrochloric acid does not have a home in here. We go ahead and grab that oxygen, put it in the super tank, but I'll do that later. Put that barrel in there, put these up here, and let's go ahead then and see what we get for today. So we completed quite a few quests. So this was the one for Ender IO. So I can choose between these ingots here, actually. I'm going to take the pulsating iron because that's the most expensive one. So we do have right now 20 of them. We're also doing not too bad in aluminium right now. We have almost 500 ingots, actually, and we have the ability to make much more still, so that'll be good. This one right here is for dark steel. You'll give me 64 cookies. Okay, that's interesting. This one right here was to make the brass item pipes. I did that in the extruder, which gives us 3 small restrictive brass item pipes. Right, the reward, restrictive item pipes, allows you to prioritize destinations. Locations on the other side of a restrictive pipe are treated as much farther away than locations on the same side of a pipe. Very handy when you want overflow or non-matching items to go somewhere else. Right, okay, that's interesting. For higher tiers, look up item pipe in NEI or just look at the spreadsheet. Right, so that's something new. So this was also for the Better Tools quest. Right, this one, actually, I'm going to take the excavator head because I think that one, unlike the hammerhead, the mining level for an excavator I don't think matters, so we are going to take that, and we might actually... Oh, we also got a Damascus Steel Tough Tool Rod. I don't really think we need that, but the excavator head could be useful. In fact, let's go ahead and upgrade that. That one I'm more inclined to do, so what will that do for me? So we go from 30,000 durability, mining speed 10.2... Mining speed 11.6, durability 43,000. And again, the mining level does not matter for this. Doesn't even list it, so... There we go. Vanadium steel excavator. That's a good upgrade. So we got that done. Right, so we did that one, and we did get some coins. Let's put those away. Put the item pipes in here. Restrictive brass item pipes. Put them down here. Right, so let's put the other items as well that we don't need at the moment. There's our first MV loot bag. Right, so next quest we have is the hydrochloric acid one we did. So that is going to give us sodium hydroxide. I think there's a quest for that, actually. I think it's right here. Yeah, so sodium hydroxide is just sodium and water. Yeah, that's an easy one. We don't need to take that one. That's an easy one there. So we'll take the loot bag NV for that one then. Right, and then that takes us over to here. So the trichlorosilane, we'll get an MV loot bag. More MV loot bags. Silicon tetrachloride, we get an MV loot bag. And, oh, we didn't complete this one, did we? Forgot to grab the sodium, actually. So let's go ahead. Claim that one, another loot bag, and... we actually probably have sodium in here now, don't we? Yes, we do. So that is sodium dust. So, I'll put that back for now. Sort that out later. So that is going to be salty from all the silicon, which is going to give me another loot bag. We got those done, and there is a few more quests, I think, as well. Well, at least one more. It was the high amp transformer, which gives us another loot bag. And there also is another transform we could go to, the low voltage power transform. It's even more amps. I don't know why we would have this many amps right now, but it's also quite expensive looking as well. So we're not going to make that right now, but that's for 16 to 64 amps. That's a lot of amps. Not going to do that one, so we did have 8 loot bags. Is there any other quests we need to turn in as well? Doesn't look like it, right? We've got 8 MV loot bags here to open today. So, let's go ahead and see what we get. So, first MV loot bag. We got some burgers, deluxe cheeseburger and veggie burgers. Ooh, what do we get here? Potion of strength, and we got a slime crystal. I think we've gotten that before. Actually, I think I've gotten that from mobs. Yeah, in the Twilight Forest, the slime beetle drops it. I've gotten some of those. And then the Potion of Strength 2, that's not bad. We got a Vanadium Steel Hammer, just a normal GregTech hammer. We got a Potion of Swiftness, and, ooh, Industrial Diamond. That's a new one. Industrial Diamond. It brings up the normal diamond, but that is not what that is. Electric Implosion Compressor. Wow, that's a lot of power you need. Or you use a normal implosion compressor. Right, so you use stuff for that. Interesting. I'm not sure what the point of that is, but we got it. What's the uses, actually, for that? Well, it brings up the normal diamond uses. So is it just like a normal diamond, then? Maybe. Right, next one. We got a hopper and a couple of books. That one is a vanadium steel screwdriver. We got some torches and potions of regeneration, and the final MV loot bag. We got another vanadium steel hammer and 4 circuit boards, which we will add to our collection over here. And there's the rest of the conductive iron we have right now as well. Right, so we got a couple of things out of those loot bags. Nothing, though, too spectacular, I'd say, this time around. Getting a lot of potions out of them. But nothing really too spectacular. How are we doing, by the way, in that tank there right now? We should be going back up now that some stuff's turned off. Yeah, it is going back up. Right, but that's the first time we've actually started seeing that Steam count go down quite a bit like that, so... yeah, we are starting to run out now of some power as we have it right now, but we do have quite a bit of the silicon solar grade. And yeah, it does look like this is dropping, so we're using more of this than we're making this. Well... we're using more of this than we're making that, actually, is what I should have said. But it is going quite well. We are getting that, and we're going to need it. But yeah, power upgrades definitely need to be our next priority, and I think that is what I'm going to work on next. We're going to go for more steam first, I think, though. That's going to be what we do, and I really think Ender IO is going to be the way forward in that. So we're going to try something with that. Oh, there's a quest for Dark Steel Chest as well, I just noticed. I can get that done as well, but there's no reward, so no point doing that now. But yeah, I'm probably going to work on that next. We're probably going to try and get this ore vein. In fact, actually, Tantalite, isn't that... We go to the journey map. Isn't that right there at Glossula, Specialtine, Pyrolusite, Tantalite? Yes, it is. Okay, well, that's going to be an easy one then. It's right next door, so I'll probably have to go do that, and then I think next time we're going to start working our way through Ender IO, and I think we might try and get all the way to here. And then I'll probably have to set something up so that we can actually start mass producing it, so we can upgrade our boilers, because what I'm going to want to do is... I'm thinking we're going to go with the high-pressure boiler tanks. We're going to use Hooch to power them so that we can get some extra steam. There is this one here also, which is the large bronze boiler, but I'm not sure how that will compare. Because I'm thinking we'll be able to get 2 of these. So it's going to be quite good, we'll see. But that's a little ways along here. We'll see how we go. But yeah, let me know what you think about the upgraded power potential. We'll see what we can do. But yeah, I think that is where we are going to leave this episode. So I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I'll see you again soon. Bye for now.